What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more solo Curt Smith from his 2013 album Deceptively Heavy. Thank you as always to Kim. And again, as Kim mentioned in a comment, I think on the first reaction to this album, we will go back and do earlier Curt solo things, but starting with this one was the way we decided it. So yes, ultimately the fourth track on the album is My Point Being, which sounds like a rhetorical device in a larger conversation, maybe a debate, maybe a disagreement, but it is a rhetorical tool used to highlight and clarify the specific meaning, or rather reason, the purpose behind what you have said. So you might articulate some notion or make some propositional claim, and then perhaps get a sense that the other person didn't realize or didn't understand why you have specified that. So you might say, well, my point being that XYZ. So yeah, it feels like we're joining a larger conversation here. Of course, it may be a play on words, or it might be a usage that is not necessarily indicative of that type of verbal exchange, but let's see what I can decipher on a first listen. This is Curt Smith. The song is My Point Being, and it's from his 2013 album Deceptively Heavy.
Grace falls, bitter luck. Next time, games we play, pride, ascension, murder, line, correction, father away. My point being, all is rust, all is right, always was. My point being, words are wasted on his tree. Her thing, come to the chasing, make ends meet, pride, ascension, misdirection.
tune. Like, sonically, it's fascinating. It's if you took out the vocals, which I would not want to do, but my point being, the sonic, like, ambient, sybient character of a lot of the sonics here, there was a string layer in there, which is more like natural instrument sounding, but a lot of it is like cosmic, sybient soundscape. So if you took out the vocals, I feel like this is the kind of track that could work on the Ultimate label or, the Alter label or, Cosmic Leaf, something like that. It really felt like a track that could be in a sybient mix. Now with the vocals, obviously that changes it, but it still had this really, again, like beyond the earth, looking at the plane of the universe, and maybe that type of scale and scope is relevant here, though I'm not entirely sure about that. I do love Curt's vocals. There was a moment near the end where he had a really nice extension, and his voice just has this emotional quality, but it's interesting here because, again, what I took away from the lyrics, which was mainly centered on the chorus is the only part that I think I heard reasonably well on this first listen, and of course I will re-listen and digest more, and Kim or any others who have any insights obviously do let me know, but it seemed to be saying that, like, my point being is, like, all is dust, all is quiet, and what was it, the words are useless for us, something like that. So I don't know, maybe it's speaking to the ephemeral, transitory mortality of humans, the idea that, we're not around for long. Now maybe the us is much more narrow. Maybe it's the narrator and one other person. And in that regard, I was thinking at the beginning, it's like, oh, maybe there's a meaning here that's like similar to Depeche Mode's Enjoy the Silence, where it's like, gestures and feelings are far more understandable and expressive in certain contexts than trying to describe that in 1,000 words or more. Essentially, the concept of it, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But the more it went on, it was like, God, it's like he's saying that, like, words, they'll try to capture a moment or whatever, but the mortality of humans and the larger scope, again, of the natural world around us is such that words don't really have as much function, or at least they're not as meaningful as humans like to make them out to be. It's, they're so important, all the things we do and say, and then if you zoom out a little bit, maybe not so much, or at least, it's fleeting, again, it's transitory, it's over as soon as it's begun relative to other much longer timelines and bigger scales. Now maybe I'm completely missing the mark here, but again, the lines I think I heard in the chorus seem to speak to something like that. So definitely one I will listen to more, and again, any insights people have may quickly modify my interpretation, which again is only based on some of the words that I heard at least semi-clearly. But really cool track, and I love the sonics on this one. As someone who does enjoy a big cosmic soundscape, and indeed there were like little fluttering melodic flourishes at the top, but then kind of big, longer like chord, like pads at the bottom, as well as these electro synthetic sounds, which felt like listening to the future or listening to these cosmic forces that are on a level much beyond the little tiny lives that we humans live. So maybe indeed my thematic interpretation is influenced by the sonic scope that I took away from the musical component of the track. And again, I think Curt sounds great vocally, but that's pretty much par for the course. His voice is always something. Once I started listening to Tears for Fears more extensively, once I started doing the deep dive on YouTube, I got a sense of like, wow, like, I've always known both of them had good voices, but Curt really does have an incredible voice. So yes, speaking of Tears for Fears, I'll do another reaction to them in this same batch, so keep an eye out for that. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.